There's something about elevators that always made Darren uneasy. Maybe it was the way the doors shut with that mechanical sigh, trapping you between steel walls and mirrors that seemed to breathe. He'd never been claustrophobic, but ever since he moved into the old apartment complex downtown, a building with a reputation for strange noises and flickering lights, he'd felt something watching him whenever those doors closed. Darren worked late nights as an architect, often coming home past midnight. The building was nearly silent by then, its hallways lit by tired yellow bulbs that buzzed softly, like flies caught behind glass. He'd grown used to the silence, the hum, the way his footsteps echoed off the concrete floors. But it started the night the elevator mirror flickered. But before I unveil this story, comment below where you are watching from, and if you enjoy this story, as a moment of joy, don't forget to subscribe. It was 12:47 a.m. Darren pressed the worn button for the 12th floor, balancing his laptop bag on his shoulder, yawning into his palm. The elevator doors slid open with their usual groan. He stepped inside, turned, and pressed 12. The lights dimmed briefly before stabilizing. He looked up at the mirror. It was slightly warped from age, the kind that made reflections seem too close. Then, just before the doors shut, he saw movement. A flicker, like someone standing behind him. He turned sharply. No one. Just the metallic interior, his own tired face staring back. He chuckled under his breath, shaking his head. "You're exhausted, man," he muttered. But then the doors slid open on his floor, and for a split second, he saw her. A woman. In the reflection. Standing behind him. Pale skin. Long black hair covering her face. And as he gasped, spinning around, the mirror shimmered and she was gone. The hallway outside was empty. Cold. Silent. That night, Darren couldn't sleep. Every creak of the building made him flinch. He kept replaying it in his mind. Was it just a trick of the light? A reflection from his phone screen? He even went back down to the elevator at 2 a.m., recording with his phone. Nothing happened. Just the dull hum of the old machinery. He went back to bed convincing himself it was fatigue. But the next night, she appeared again. This time, she was closer. He got in the elevator after another long day. The moment the doors slid shut, his reflection in the mirror seemed delayed, like it lagged a second behind him. He blinked. Then the woman appeared again, standing just behind his right shoulder. Same hair, same pale face partially hidden. Only now, her head tilted slightly, as if studying him. He froze, breath catching in his throat. He didn't turn around this time. Instead, he slowly reached into his pocket, took out his phone, and raised it toward the mirror. But before he could hit record, the lights in the elevator flickered out. Pitch black. He could hear something breathing beside him, soft, almost human. His heart hammered against his ribs. Then the emergency light blinked on, dim and red. The mirror was empty again. No woman. But something scratched against the inside of the elevator wall. A faint, dragging sound. Metal against metal. Then the elevator dinged, doors opening to his floor. He stumbled out, breathing hard, staring back at the now still mirror. His reflection stared back, but, his eyes. In the reflection, his eyes were black. He didn't sleep that night either. The next morning, Darren decided to take the stairs. He told himself it was exercise. But when he passed the elevator, he heard the soft hum of it moving, even though no one had pressed the button. He walked faster, gripping the stair railing. The building was decades old, and residents often complained of power surges, strange noises. The manager, a man in his 60s named Mr. Hall, wasn't much help. When Darren mentioned the elevator, Hall's expression shifted slightly. "You've seen her, haven't you?" he said quietly. "Who?" Darren asked. "The woman in the mirror." Darren froze. "You've seen her too?" Hall didn't answer right away. He just looked down the hallway, then back. They say she used to live on the 12th floor. Moved in sometime in the 1970s. Elevator got stuck between floors. She panicked. Tried to pry the doors open herself. They say she fell. He paused. They replaced the elevator years ago, but some things don't leave. Darren laughed nervously. You're joking, right? Hall just walked away. That night, Darren stayed at a friend's place. But at 3:13 a.m., he woke up to his phone buzzing. A notification from his security camera app. Motion detected. In his apartment. Heart pounding, he opened the app. The feed was grainy, dark. His living room looked normal, empty. Then, something moved near the hallway mirror. A woman's reflection. Long black hair. Standing perfectly still. The feed glitched, flickered, and cut to static. He dropped his phone. The next morning, he returned home. Everything looked untouched. He checked the mirror, nothing strange. He unplugged his camera, deciding to sleep early. At midnight, he woke to the faint sound of an elevator bell. Ding! It echoed from down the hall, even though no one else lived on his floor. He stepped into the hallway, every instinct telling him to go back inside. But he didn't. The elevator doors were open. Inside, empty. Except for the mirror. The woman was standing there, reflected, her head tilted. But this time, her face was clear. It wasn't pale anymore, it was his. His own reflection, but wrong. Smiling too wide. Eyes black, just like before. Darren stumbled backward, heart hammering. The reflection spoke, though his own mouth didn't move. You shouldn't have looked twice. The doors slammed shut. The elevator descended. But Darren never took it. Never touched that mirror again. Now, weeks later, new tenants say the elevator sometimes stops on the 12th floor even when no one calls it. They say they hear a faint tapping sound, like nails on metal. And sometimes, when the doors open, their reflections are smiling, just a little too wide.